Hope it doesn't break the floor.
No, don't worry. Coconut is a high-hanging fruit and it gets the water by itself. We consider it as pure. And cracking the coconut, it's like blessing the house.
The heart of the issue lies in Sumit's family's unwillingness, at least initially, to fully accept Jenny into their inner family circle. Several public statements from his mother, father, and brother outline the reasons. Age gap. His brother Amit pointed out that Jenny is older than their mother, and that the double-year age dynamic was simply unacceptable in their cultural context. Cultural/societal pressure. Sumit's father Anil said that if society wouldn't accept the relationship, his family would effectively be cut off, losing support from neighbors and community. Trust and legitimacy. The family expressed concerns around transparency and whether their son was being honest, what Jenny's motives were, and how this would impact their reputation and responsibilities in Indian culture, older relatives helping younger, the son's duty to parents. Integration into family life. They made clear that while Jenny might be accepted as Sumit's friend, she was not automatically accepted as a family member who participates in family events. Mother's personal reaction. Sumit's mother, Sadhna or Sana, stated in an interview that she will never accept Jenny. She expressed fears of judgment by society and feeling alienated from her son. Thus, the disapproval was multi-layered: age, culture, reputation, obligations, and emotion. While many articles focus on Sumit's parents, there is also mention in more recent coverage of extended family, for example, his aunt, reacting strongly to Jenny. For example, a news piece, October 2025, refers to Sumit's auntie who refused to ignore the fact of the age difference, telling Jenny she was old enough to be his mom. The article suggests that despite initial celebrations, the aunt later wreaked havoc on Jenny when she became Sumit's wife, pointing out how family members beyond the immediate parents can drive disapproval. So, the disapproval is not confined to parents only but includes extended family and the broader social circle. Over the years, several significant developments show that the situation is evolving. Jenny and Sumit married. They've been partners for years, and the show has covered their proceedings. In early 2024, his mother reportedly said she finally accepts Jenny after years of opposition. In September 2025, People published an article noting that Jenny and Sumit had lived with his parents in India for 9 months, and Jenny expressed that she wants my independent life back, indicating tension remains. Despite partial acceptance, in some reports his family still doesn't invite Jenny to certain family gatherings or fully treat her as an equal. So the dynamic is nuanced. Opposition remains, but there has been progress. Living under the same roof has brought new challenges. From a viewer and cultural standpoint, there are several key areas of significance. In many Indian families, age gap, arranged marriage traditions, parental involvement, and the son's duty to his parents carry heavier weight than in some Western contexts. The case highlights that cross-cultural relationships often surface these conflicting expectations. Family versus individual choice. Sumit represents a younger generation choosing a partner outside the family's preferences. Jenny represents a Western individual entering a traditional family environment. The tension between individual happiness and familial duty is strongly visible. Societal reputation. The family's statement that if society doesn't accept this relationship, we're cut off underscores the communal dimension. Reputation, support networks, and cultural conformity. Power dynamics. The parents and aunt hold significant influence. Even though Jenny and Sumit are married adults, the family's acceptance, or lack thereof, still impacts their everyday life. Living arrangements, social events, recognition within the family. Media portrayal. Reality TV amplifies these dynamics. From a production/viewer standpoint, drama arises from the tension between what the couple wants and what the family allows. Prior to moving to India, Sumit and Jenny's relationship was secretive and uneven. Sumit had previously been in an arranged marriage. 2020-2022. The mother publicly states H will never accept Jenny. 2021-2023. The couple continues to film for the show, revealing friction, his parents moving into house, etc. January 2024. Mother says she finally accepts Jenny. September 2025. Article notes 9 months living with his parents. Jenny still feeling constrained. October 2025. Extended family/aunt still voicing strong opposition. Between her in-laws moving in, her boyfriend Sumit Singh still dodging tying the knot, and now her mother-in-law Sana revealing to the world the state of her kitchen, it hasn't been Jenny's best week. But the bad times aren't over yet, as fans have taken to social media to fire at Jenny for her dirty kitchen, and some even claim that Sana is right. California native Jenny has moved to India for the third time to be with her India-born boyfriend, Sumit. The couple started this adventure way back in 2019 when they were featured in season 1 of the 90-Day Fiance spin-off, but they had been a couple for several years even before going on the show. But between the two's age difference, 30-plus years, their cultural differences, and Sumit's family's disapproval, the pair has yet to tie the knot. As a last-ditch effort to soothe the family struggles, Jenny Sumit and his parents attended family therapy, where Sumit's mother, Sana, abruptly decided she would move in with the couple and teach Jenny, who is actually older than her, how to be a good Indian daughter-in-law. If you're feeling reservations about the success of this experiment, you're not alone. Jenny was very hesitant about the idea, but at Sumit's persistence, she allowed it. And day one went about as you would expect. Sana had Jenny on her hands and knees sweeping and scouring the kitchen that viewers have deemed filthy. Fans took to social media to express their disgust at how Jenny and Sumit were living, and some even felt Sana was right in having the couple clean it up. While fans aren't generally in Sana's corner, as she has thrown some significant shade at Jenny in the past, many fans are actually on her side for this argument, and they continued to fire at Jenny for her messy kitchen. We have to say it was not the cleanest kitchen we've ever seen, but let's keep in mind, Jenny has a lot on her plate, as the previous week's episode revealed that she thought she would have to leave India for the 4th time with no wedding ring. Jenny thought her visa to stay in India was not renewed, and although it turned out to be a false alarm and she was allowed to stay in the country, it was definitely a close call. So she probably has a few other things on her mind right now besides the state of her kitchen. But fans aren't cutting her any slack in that department, as they continue to bombard her with comments and tags calling her out. Perhaps this week's episode will reveal things looking up for Jenny and Sumit. It's possible having Sana in the house will force the family to work out their issues, and maybe Jenny will finally get the proposal and the wedding she's been dreaming of for 8 years. Here's hoping. With their cafe ambitions at the center of the action, Jenny and Sumit are back in business mode on 90-Day Fiance the other way. They are looking at second-hand equipment, financing agreements, and space feasibility to get their finger food concept off the ground after previous company endeavors failed. The menu is straightforward: spaghetti, fries, burgers, sandwiches, and chocolate-based sweets. However, simplicity does not equate to ease. Sumit relies on existing contacts, particularly with Rohit, a friend who has a place and extra culinary equipment from previous restaurant endeavors. Used grills, fryers, mixers, and graters have promise, but there are also significant risks. Compliance, cleanliness, and condition are major concerns. Jenny, meanwhile, wants to know exactly what equipment is effective. Which arrangement makes the most sense? When and by whom is payment made? There are several trade-offs ahead, including evaluating equipment kept in a dusty, disorganized area, negotiating costs, and establishing loan conditions. Jenny and Sumit see this endeavor as more than just starting a cafe. It's about demonstrating that past errors don't have to rule future beginnings. 90-Day Fiance. The other way couple Jenny and Sumit need to focus on 3 things in order to make their cafe vision a reality: obtaining functional equipment, negotiating reasonable conditions, and making sure the area satisfies operational and hygienic requirements. Equipment such as deep fryers and barbecues is necessary. Credit-based agreements with reliable friends can save money, but only if the conditions are clear. The functionality of each item must be examined, ownership and payment arrangements must be negotiated, and previous neglect must not jeopardize safety requirements. What equipment is already available and what needs to be purchased are the main topics of discussion in this week's 90-Day Fiance the other way. Jenny and Sumit already have a mixer and grater, but they also need a deep fryer and grill. The surplus equipment from Rohit's previous restaurant enterprises is kept in unfavorable conditions, untidy, dusty, and disorganized, which contributes significantly to the issue. That raises questions about the safety and functionality of many things. Sumit and Jenny also understand that cleanliness and arrangement are necessary, even if the equipment functions. For instance, there are issues with surface hygiene, insect management, gas line safety, and cleanliness surrounding storage. Using products kept in junk room conditions could conceal flaws that could be expensive or in violation of health regulations. It is impossible to compromise on planning how everything fits together, making sure the gas and power supply is safe, and maintaining a tidy operating footprint. Attractive payment terms rather than freebies. He demands unambiguous guidelines regarding ownership transfer, default remedies, and payment deadlines. Rohit, meanwhile, insists the equipment is for sale, not donation. So there's room for deal-making, but trust must be earned. 90-Day Fiance. The other ways Jenny and Sumit are both cautious because of past partnerships in which operations faltered and control was lost. Transparency is required, which includes examining every item, certifying its safety, identifying the usable parts, and reaching a clear agreement on terms. The friendship cannot overcome basic business risk, but it does help. If trust isn't supported by appropriate agreement and inspection, maintenance issues, defaults, or malfunctioning equipment could ruin the entire cafe idea. Like 90-Day Fiancé, the other ways prior seasons, Season 7 will follow American citizens moving to or living in foreign countries for the sake of love and their future spouses and experiencing culture shock. 90-Day Fiancé, the other ways 7th season will feature 6 couples, including Jenny Slaton and Sumit Singh, who have previously starred on multiple seasons of 90-Day Fiancé, The Other Way, and Luke Berry and Madeleine Perez, who appeared on Season 4 of 90-Day Fiancé, Love in Paradise. The new 4 couples are Greta from Oklahoma and Matthew from England, Anthony from California and Manon from France, Padia from Texas and Dylan from Tasmania, and Chloe from Massachusetts and Johnny from Aruba. Chloe was set to arrive in Aruba that day, and so Johnny was preparing for her to move into his place. Johnny said he tried to make his place as comfortable as possible for her by clearing out the closet and making sure she'd have a silk pillow to sleep on. The last person Johnny lived with was his beloved mother. 3 years ago, my ex and I decided to mutually break up on New Year's. Unfortunately, I caught her with somebody else. I didn't really have a place to go, so I moved back in with my mom, Johnny explained. And a few months later, my mom got really sick and had a heart attack. I spent a good year with my mom before she passed. Johnny said he felt completely heartbroken and devastated when his mother died because she was everything to her. Johnny explained how his mother's death hurt him so much more than his ex cheating on him. Sometimes I feel like I'm a very cold person because I lost a lot of myself. It's hard. It's very hard, Johnny cried to the cameras. Johnny admitted he struggled to trust women after his ex's affair, but he loved Chloe and was willing to open his heart again. Johnny said he was excited to commit to Chloe and build a life with her. Johnny was then shown driving to the airport with a bouquet of flowers in his hands. Johnny, however, said Chloe never had to pay her own mortgage or bills, and so he was worried she was going to dislike or get sick of his lifestyle and want something different. Johnny and Chloe had a warm reunion at the airport in Aruba. They hugged and kissed, but Chloe vented about how she felt like a mess and needed to eat and sleep. Between her in-laws moving in, her boyfriend Sumit Singh still dodging tying the knot, and now her mother-in-law Sana revealing to the world the state of her kitchen, it hasn't been Jenny's best. California native Jenny has moved to India for the 3rd time to be with her India-born boyfriend, Sumit. The couple started this adventure way back in 2019 when they were featured in Season 1 of the 90-Day Fiancé spin-off, but they had been a couple for several years even before going on the show. But between the two's age difference, 30-plus years, their cultural differences, and Sumit's family's disapproval, the pair has yet to tie the knot. As a last-ditch effort to soothe the family struggles, Jenny, Sumit, and his parents attended family therapy, where Sumit's mother, Sana, abruptly decided she would move in with the couple and teach Jenny, who is actually older than her, how to be a good Indian daughter-in-law. If you're feeling reservations about the success of this experiment, you're not alone. Jenny was very hesitant about the idea, but at Sumit's persistence, she allowed it. And day 1 went about as you would expect. Sana had Jenny on her hands and knees sweeping and scouring the kitchen that viewers have deemed filthy. Fans took to social media to express their disgust at how Jenny and Sumit were living, and some even felt Sana was right in having the couple clean it up. While fans aren't generally in Sana's corner as she has thrown some significant shade at Jenny in the past, Many fans are actually on her side for this argument, and they continued to fire at Jenny for her messy kitchen. We have to say it was not the cleanest kitchen we've ever seen, but let's keep in mind, Jenny has a lot on her plate as the previous week's episode revealed that she thought she would have to leave India for the 4th time with no wedding ring. Jenny thought her visa to stay in India was not renewed, and although it turned out to be a false alarm and she was allowed to stay in the country, it was definitely a close call. So she probably has a few other things on her mind right now besides the state of her kitchen. But fans aren't cutting her any slack in that department as they continue to bombard her with comments and tags calling her out. Perhaps this week's episode will reveal things looking up for Jenny and Sumit. It's possible having Sana in the house will force the family to work out their issues, and maybe Jenny will finally get the proposal and the wedding she's been dreaming of for 8 years. Here's hoping. 90-Day Fiance. The other ways Jenny, Slaton, and Sumit Singh know the importance of a good astrological match. One of the episodes from this season even featured them going to Sumit's family astrologer, who suggested the couple take things slow and steady to wait before rushing into a marriage, much to Jenny's dismay. However, this advice makes perfect sense given their zodiac signs. Jenny is a Scorpio who lets her heart lead the way. Scorpio is a water sign, so it is quite an emotional sign. It is also a very loyal and committed sign, as is evidenced by this being Jenny's 4th trip to India to be with Sumit. Despite the multiple failed attempts at marriage, Jenny remains committed to the relationship and to Sumit. In fact, fans have often questioned if Jenny is ride or die, or just naive. But ride or die is a Scorpio's middle name. Although if you truly cross them, watch out, because they are not the sign of the Scorpion for nothing, and when the stinger comes out, it is not pretty. Due to Scorpio's emotional nature, they can be prone to have emotional outbursts and reactions, which is something we have definitely noticed about Jenny. No shade though, because 4 trips to India, 3 failed marriage attempts, 2 major lies on Sumit's part, and 1 pair of angry in-laws would be enough to make anyone a little cranky. But it does happen to be a Scorpio calling card to have big blow-ups with emotions spilling all over the place. But Scorpios have so many good qualities and are capable of making such deep, lasting connections their partners are often willing to look past some of the emotional hiccups and take them for what they are, a side effect of caring so much. Aquarius is an air sign, very free-floating and prone to be light on their feet. Their calm and cool demeanor can often come off as uncaring, but in reality, they are very thoughtful and intellectual. They can be very community-focused, as Sumit demonstrates by his desire to please his parents and his close-knit Indian community. But to a Scorpio like Jenny who craves deep and emotional intimacy, their airy ways can be frustrating and evasive. The Aquarius is much more intellectual, so where a Scorpio makes decisions with their heart, an Aquarius makes decisions more with their heads, and that's where the two can cross wires. Jenny can feel like Sumit just doesn't care, while he can feel like she is being overly emotional. We watched this dynamic play out when Jenny thought her visa was not being renewed and she and Sumit got into an argument. Jenny fired at Sumit while he tried to calmly talk through their options, a classic Scorpio/Aquarius interaction. Their signs can often create a strong physical attraction to each other and are able to create bonds, but it usually takes some time. The two are not the most compatible signs as their communication, thought processes, fighting styles, and emotional realms are on completely different playing fields. Sumit's parents moving in is also really not helping the couple's cause. With the constant emotional onslaught, Sumit's mom is showering daily on Jenny. Her Scorpio stinger is bound to come out sometime, and it will not be pretty when it does. But Sumit's mother isn't the only one coming at Jenny over her dirty kitchen, as fans also fired at Jenny this week over her sloppy housekeeping. With all this stress placed firmly on Jenny's shoulders, we are not looking forward to the Scorpio fallout that is bound to come. But according to the astrologer, if the two take their time with the marriage piece, they could actually build something. And the key with pairing these two signs is slow and steady. Allowing the two to get used to their differences and learn effective communication is the key to their success. But even that might not be enough, as it can be very difficult to overcome the basic incompatibility of these signs. Jenny may never feel the full level of commitment, legally or emotionally, that she desires from Sumit, but that doesn't mean the two can't work within their signs and have a good relationship. Jenny and Sumit have made it this far, and we feel pretty confident that the two can take their relationship all the way, star-crossed or not. On 90 Day Fiance, The Other Way, Jenny Slaton and her future in-laws practice yoga together. Things become interesting when Sumit Singh's mother, Sana, demonstrates. On the October 31st episode of 90 Day Fiance, The Other Way, Jenny Slaton and her future in-laws practice yoga together. Things become interesting when Sumit Singh's mother, Sana, demonstrates the cleansing technique Sutra Neti, which looks like she's flossing her nose. Will Jenny have to try the nose flossing Sutra Neti technique to gain Sana's approval? On 90 Day Fiance, The Other Way, Sumit's mother, Sana, and father, Anil, have moved into their home to make Jenny into a traditional Indian bride. Reluctantly, Jenny allows Sumit's parents into their home. Sana wastes no time after arriving at their home. She immediately notices Jenny's dirty kitchen,